Okay, so to open the GIF file, one needs to first of all create the animated GIF. It's at this folder. It's on an external hard disk in a folder called Images. I named it GIMP Gap, so I drag it, I'll tap to where GIMP is, drop it over there. So it opens all the frames as layers. If we shift click on the layer visibility icon, we will notice the changes in the animation, for as long as we activate the exclusive view one by one. In this way, we are able to visualize this simple letter moving animation walking through all of the layers as if they were video frames. It will allow you to view the movement of the letters. If we shift click on an already activated layer view icon, we activate the rest of the layer view icons in the layers dialog. Now we need to encode it in an AVI file. Once GAP is installed, the video menu option will appear at the top. Let's click on the master video encoder in the middle of the menu list. It will open and close a series of console windows, but the window we will use is the GUI graphic user interface window. Here lie the layers numbers. Looking back at our layers dialog, we realize that there are 24 of them. Since the list starts with frame number 1, which is the background, and the second, third, and fourth frame, and so on. If we all tab back to the master video encoder of GAP, we realize that the frame order starts from the 23rd to the 0th. It arrives at the 23rd threshold because it starts from 0. To invert the animation, one would change the placing of such thresholds, placing 0 at the start and 23 at the end field. Ensure that layer's input mode is selected for the frame range. The size of the video will be 204 x 129. That will throw an error. We must assign it a value of 128 so that the FFmpeg library will be able to encode the video correctly to an MPEG-4 format. The frame rate is set at 1 frame per second. We must change it to a higher frame rate so that it does not slow down. The original GIF animation is set to 3.33 frames per second. I have the calculator open. If you haven't done so already, press the Windows key followed by Calc. Press Enter to open the Windows calculator. It is obtained by dividing 1000 by 300. Each layer lasts 300 milliseconds. Let's type in the numerical keyboard or in the upper number keys 1000 and the slash sign, followed by 300 and Enter. The answer is 3.33. This is the value to input in the frame rate field. 3.33 frames are displayed in 1 second. For the predefined frame rates field, we will let it be as is, since we already specified it by typing 3.33 in the previous field. The video norm is left undefined, since we have specified the video parameters in the previous sections. Other libraries can be chosen, but FFmpeg encoding is the best. AVI1 is also fine. Anyway, on parameters, the first field is the type of container. Default is AVI, which is compatible with Movie Maker. The format is set to RAW, which is basically lacking encoding. Let's change it to MPEG-4 so that it encodes the video to one of the most popular internet video formats. This will spare some disk space while maintaining decent quality, ignoring redundant or irrelevant information. Unfortunately, in my case, MPEG-4 did not work. You might want to try it out, but it did not work for me. I will use the MSMPEG-4 version 1 or 2, so let's choose this one in this occasion. Since we are using no audio, we will leave the audio format as it is, as well as the audio bitrate. All audio options will be ignored anyway. For a video as small as this one, 256 kilobits per second is reasonable bitrate. The higher the bitrate, the higher the quality of the video, since the disk storage and information per second is higher. Now, for the more technical details, this indicates how much change the bitrate will go through between frames. Let's up FAR 2. This is only supported in certain encoders. Let's leave the value 2 for the minimum video quantizer scale. This is the maximum quantizer scale. Let's choose 31. Don't increase the parameter too much, otherwise it will create a far too inferior file. The maximum difference between the quantizer scale, we will leave it at 5. Leave the intro-only box unchecked. Let's set GOP at 10. The B frames refer to preceding and trailing I frames when encoding. To spare information redundance, let's set it at 2, the maximum allowed B frames in sequence. Leave set aspect ratio unchecked. Now let's find out where it will be saved. The output is set to the J:USB storage device I have acquired in the folder Images, and the file is named gimpgap.avi. That's all we're interested in for now. Bear in mind though that there are audio options as well. One could choose an audio input file. This other tab serves the audio configuration, which we will ignore. This extras tab deals with debug macro and storyboard files. The next one is the encoding tab. When the configuration is finished, we'll show how many frames and how much time remains. Now let's click on OK. I have already saved gimpgap.avi, so it will attempt to overwrite it. The error messages appear. GIMP file save was asked to execute with invalid drawable arguments. This warns about B-frames not being supported by the MSMPEG encoder chosen previously. In this error, GIMP file load is expecting an XCF native GIMP file for the argument since it is a GIF. We need to save the file as an XCF format so that the error is avoided. It attempted to create the first frame but failed. Click on OK. Let's use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Shift-S. To save it as an XCF file, we substitute GIF with XCF on the file name. This will create a native GIMP XCF file. I have already saved it. In your case, you will have to click on Save. Once we have saved it here, we drag it to where GIMP's window client's area lies, either in or outside the canvas border. Unfortunately, GIMP does not open the file as a new image, it instead adds the layers to the already opened GIF file. To solve it, we will press Ctrl W to close this image file without saving it. Once again, we drag this time the gimpgap.xcf file to GIMP's window client area. As we can verify, gimpgap.xcf is now open instead of its layers being added to another file. I accidentally closed the layers channels paths dockable dialog. We could open the layers dialog, but that wouldn't have the rest of tabs docked beside it. Instead, we will open the layers channels path selection pointer dialog, which we recently closed. Now let's call once again the master video encoder. This time, if we explore the filters menu, we will notice the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Shift-F. That will spare us some time of menu navigation. Pressing Ctrl-Shift-F will run the latest used plugin by opening its dialog. The selected range starts at the 23rd layer and ends at the 0th layer. Bear in mind that GAP numbers the layer stack in reverse order of the layers dialog. Let's start by changing the height to 128 so that the MSMPEG encoder encodes the video correctly, due to the encoder demanding a height size to a multiple of 2, so valid values are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc. In other words, non-negative and non-zero even numbers. Of course, that altering such values will change the aspect ratio of the original images and will probably distort it. The frame rate is set to 3.33. The video norm undefined, the encoding library is set to FFmpeg. Other libraries are less powerful. Let's leave the FFmpeg parameters as they are, since the previously input values were saved. So let's click on OK, it should work now. Verify that the directory and file name are correct. Click on OK, followed by Override. It is done encoding 24 frames quickly, since it is a small resolution and frame count. This error message is irrelevant since the file saving operation mentioned here did not interfere in the encoding. And this warning message is relevant only to understand that B-frames were not created. Click on OK, you will have your AVI lying in the specified directory. I use VLC as the default video player. Opening it will allow us to view the video animation. Everything looks fine. Now you're free to use it in any AVI supporting video editor like Movie Maker, VirtualDub, etc. Uploading this video to hosting sites like YouTube and Vimeo is also possible. Thanks for your attention.